Auzubillahi minash shaitanir rajeem. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Assalamu alaikum to everybody who's tuned into PTV World and the Watching World this morning, alongside my very amazing colleague Shiza Hashmi and Shahzad Khan. Hello Shiza, how are you today?
I'm absolutely great. Thank you for asking. What about you?
Absolutely perfect. I think I'm doing great. My body is actually accustomed to all the facts of Ramadan. I
I
think
know,
that
right?
fasting and then breaking the fast and then going to the gym. I think that I'm keeping up with my health
Oh, that's
pretty
perfect.
well as well. But then at the same time, Shiza, I had a question for you in my head,
Okay.
which I wanted to ask you. पहले रोजे से ही काफी दिन
Okay.
गुजर गए हैं. But then what I wanted to ask you was then, since you are a coffee, I do not want to use the word freak, but you are addictive.
Yes.
Coffee is very addicting for you, right?
Yes, yes.
So then what do you do? Do you have it in Sahar or do you have it in Aftar?
I can't have it at Seher because I plan on sleeping again at least for an hour or so,
Okay.
right? So I cannot have it at Seher. I feel like ever since I've been fasting, I've been sort of, avoiding coffee because you can either have it at Iftari or
Yeah.
Seher in both of the times when I want to sleep
Yeah.
again. So I haven't been having it lately.
All right.
I miss it, but yeah, I feel
And-
like
and-
today especially the fast has got the best of me. So
All right, but ladies and gentlemen, at the same time, I think that Shiza is the only person who's actually agreed on live television that, she's got anger management issues too as well.
yeah, I mean, why?
So, the day when I get to know that she's actually not had a coffee, is the day when I feel a little stressed too as well, that, she might say something. But, that it's
But that
jokes.
has never happened, right?
Yeah, but jokes apart. But there's one thing which I wanted to ask you
Okay.
as well, and that is that, since you have had anger management issues,
Yeah.
so the first 5 or 6 rosas, how were they? Did you actually lash out on somebody else?
No, actually not because I live alone.
Yeah.
So I don't even have
So you
anyone
don't
to
have
lash out.
anybody to lash out
No,
to.
but I feel like no, that's not the case. I'm always so super excited for Ramzan. I mean, I'm looking forward to fast.
Yeah.
So I feel that sort of overshadows the anger.
Yeah, okay,
And you
that's
don't
great.
even find time to be
That's
angry.
great. But I think that for a person like me, because I really do not have, I just do not get into conversations where there's anger involved in it as well
Yeah,
with anybody.
that's
So
great.
eventually I actually have to, kind of scold my own self as well. Why did you do that? Oh, you shouldn't be doing that. Okay, forget it. Okay, but other than that, ladies
Yeah.
and gentlemen, yesterday, Shiza, since you weren't here, so
Yeah.
we were actually talking, we built up on depression.
Oh, okay.
And, we talked about the causes, the early symptoms, the
So
stigmas
important.
attached to it, and the dilemma as well. And then how we think that, parents actually or siblings need to behave around a person who's actually suffering from depression. But today,
Yeah.
we are going to talk about the treatments available within the light of Quran and Sunnah.
Wow, okay.
And to do that, ladies and gentlemen, we have been joined by our very own, our very favorite Dr. Yusaf Raza. Hello, assalamu alaikum, how are you?
Walaikum assalam. I'm doing great.
Thank you for the same kurta again. That's
It
modesty.
blends with your set.
Yeah, that's modesty. But thank you very much for joining us, and we're going to continue from where we left.
Yeah.
So I've pretty much given them the pre-cap,
Yeah.
in fact, or the recap of the yesterday's shows and today's pre-cap.
Yeah, okay.
So yeah, let's talk about the treatments available in the light of Quran and Sunnah.
Right. So when we particularly talk about the Quran and Sunnah, and we see from the seerah of Rasulullah sallam, and also the mindset that the Quran creates,
Yeah.
that, for example, there's a hadith of the Messenger sallam, "I'ti kulla dhi haqqin haqqahu," that give every person his due right.
Yeah.
So in this particular context, resorting to the specialists to whom this field belongs to, this particular, this is their area of speciality, it would be in line and in sync with Quran and Sunnah to resort to that speciality.
All right.
There was especially an incident in the life of the Prophet ﷺ where the Sahaba, the companions, they used to have a particular practice in Medina in which they would, what they would do to increase the produce.
Okay.
The Messenger ﷺ was new to that. Obviously, his brought up was Meccan. He comes and he says, "What if you don't do that?" And the Sahaba stopped doing that.
Yeah.
And so that particular year, the produce was very little.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now they were afraid. They thought the Prophet had forbidden them to do this.
Right.
So they very hesitantly came to him and said that, we used to do this practice. Our agricultural produce was a lot because of it. But since you said this and this, we thought you were telling us not to do it. We didn't do it, and our produce wasn't as much.
No.
The Messenger ﷺ said, "Antum a'lamu bi umuri dunyakum." You are more knowledgeable than me with respect to these affairs of the world.
Okay.
Resort to your specialities. Resort to your expertise.
Right.
Okay.
I am not going to be an expert on these particular matters.
Okay.
So I am giving you the right.
So, for example, talking about these matters, I'm sorry, I'm interjecting, medical science
Yeah.
or astronomy or astrology. So, fields like these, so they have to be different
They have to
and
be
shouldn't be
respected.
mixed up with religion.
They have to be respected.
Yeah.
Obviously, there will be dimensions to them.
Okay.
The ethical dimensions, let's say, in which religious questions arise.
All right.
And then you will have those conversations.
Yes. So then in depression, there is a religious aspect to that. And
Yes.
that is, for example, when people, who are suffering from depression, they want to take their life. Okay. So that's the religious component to that as well, because, it's prohibited in Islam.
Yeah.
Right? So then how do they resort to it?
Right. So what we understand religiously as a deterrent that a religious scripture sets for people who are depressed. I've seen a lot of patients who say the only reason they're still alive is because it is forbidden for them to take their life.
Yeah, because I've seen that myself.
So there you see the psychologically beneficial side effects of religiosity. That an otherwise incredibly depressed person is being held back because of religious faith or a religious deterrent that is set in place. And so how we understand that psychologically, and this is something that we spoke about in our first show as well, that your emotional dimension and the dimension of thoughts, you can experience a whole lot of variety there that you have no idea where it comes from. And if it's of a depressive nature, it's all negative, then all of that is having its influence on you. But like we said in the first show that I was here, it's an influence. Nevertheless, the action that you will do will be your action. It will be your choice, ultimately. So it'll be more difficult for a depressed person to do what it needs to be done, not impossible. And that's what we have to build upon.
All right. So very quickly, building up on that as well, there's one thing which I believe, and that is that if in case, and you since you're a psychiatrist yourself, so you can better let us know. And that is that, I believe that for somebody who's actually suffering from depression, it's not just the psychiatrist who's going to treat him, but I think it needs to be the psychologist as well, the Islamic teacher as well, siblings as well. I think it takes everybody to treat him. But then other than that, there's this common phenomena in every household, at least within Muslim majority countries as well, and that is, if your son or your daughter is sick, your mother's actually going to come and say, oh, Quran padha karo, just recite Quran, it's going to help. Or probably, listen to hadith, listen to this ayah, listen to this ayah. Do you think it helps?
Again, step number one when somebody has depressive illness is to identify. First step, do not stigmatize, do not judge, do not label, right? We have for example, in Surah Yusuf, where Yaqub alayhi salam, Yusuf alayhi salam's father, he goes through significant distress.
Exactly.
When Yusuf alayhi salam has
and he kept on crying for days and days.
To the point of losing his eyesight.
Yeah.
That's how stressed he was. And he says outright, Allahumma ilayka ashku, or he says, he talks about how he refers his sadness and his distress to Allah. When other people are telling him, what are you doing? You're losing yourself over him, get a grip on yourself, etc., etc. He says, no, I am, it's towards Allah. But my hope is still there. See, you can get thoughts of hopelessness, you can feel hopeless, but in your actions and words, if you still exemplify or still articulate hopefulness, that's the benefit that faith can have for you. So to understand, the Messenger ﷺ, for example, when Khadija radiallahu ta'ala anha passed away, when Abu Talib passed away, for an entire year he did not smile. He did not smile socially, meeting people. But he did not shirk his responsibilities either.
Exactly.
Whatever he had to do as a prophet, he did that. It was harder for him to do that, but he did it nevertheless, right? So to understand that, not to stigmatize, not to label, not to judge people's faith, leave it to them. It's the process anyways. It's not you just enter into Islam or you decide to become religious and you've reached the pinnacle of religiosity and spirituality. No, it's a process. It takes time. If it hasn't taken its time and a newbie in religion has touched those religious heights, there is something to be skeptical about. There is something, for self-assessment, that you have to be, you know what, it has to be a struggle.
Okay.
Anyways, coming to what to do with depression when not judging, identifying that of the three sources that we spoke about, biological, psychological, or existential spiritual. Between these three, where is the main problem? Where can the main issue be? Right? And understanding that each of them will influence the other. For example, if your depression is sourced in a psychological issue, it can have biological impacts. It can have biological effects.
So can you give us an example of a psychological issue having a biological impact?
Right. So, for example, somebody...
For our understanding, layman, yes.
Somebody goes through a traumatic experience.
Okay.
Right? Somebody has, he loses someone, or there's a failure in life, whatever the case may be. That would create a disturbance in how the cortisol functioning, the hormone cortisol that is released. There is a stress axis, the hypothalamic pituitary axis, but I'm getting too technical right now.
Hypothalamic pituitary.
These are parts of your brain.
Okay.
Okay, and they release certain neurotransmitters and hormones that affect the release of another hormone, which is cortisol, and how that would help you deal with stress in the short term, but in the long run may contribute to developing depression. So there will be places in your brain, like the hippocampus, which would become more sensitive, which would become more, it would give a depressive response. And these, especially in your developmental years, these patterns of response are set neurobiologically. So some people will be more upset in later life on an incident that other people are like, whatever. Right? Because the biological makeup has been such that those are psychological events that have biological issues, right? So there's overlaps. Existential as well. You have issues answering questions related to what's your purpose in life, about God, about evil, about suffering, right? That will have psychological. You may become more frustrated. You become irritable, right? And that has biological correlates. So across the board, all three of them are not mutually exclusive. These are part of who we are as human beings. We have these three domains, and they interact with each other.
But they do overlap.
Right. So here's the thing. Just a while ago, you said that, you know, you even yourself have met a lot of people who said that it's just their religion keeping them from ending their lives because they respect it or value it so much. But that does not mean that it ends their suffering, because of course it's, you know, mayusi, it keeps going on. Some people are naturally, you know, happy-go-lucky, born happy, but some people are even naturally built, you know, anxious or depressed. So in that case, what must one do? I mean, the religion is not allowing you to, I mean, I know it's wrong, but it's not allowing you, but you have to live with it for the rest of your life.
Yeah, and before you answer that, please let us know whether there are people who are actually born with more anxiety or stress, or...
I feel like everyone has a different biological build-up, right?
Yeah, so,
I mean,
so let's be sure about it.
So there will be genetic predispositions. There will be genetic predispositions which in your early life, the environment that you were given would be shaped up further, and then your personality would be developed, and certain people would have a personality which is more prone.
So there can be predispositions of being stressed.
Yes.
Okay, you were right.
I know, I read about it.
Of coping with stress maladaptively, negatively. Right? So what we understand, we source it, we identify where is it primarily sourced, but we take care of the other dimensions as well. Right? So in addressing depressive symptoms, we have to be very, very comprehensive. We attend to our physical needs. Healthy eating, exercise. Exercise has, it leads for the brain to release certain neurotransmitters and chemicals which are akin to antidepressants. Right? Akin to the effects of antidepressants. So it gives you that zing. It gives you that feel good. The gig. Yes, right? So the exercise high.
Adrenaline.
The adrenaline rush that we experience. So that's something that at a longer term has the same impact as taking antidepressants, and you don't have to worry about the side effects as such. And then there's a psychological benefit of it, the sense of achievement I am doing something. I am growing. I'm pushing against, you know, the difficulty of establishing an exercise routine, going through pain, right? So in the physical domain, healthy diet, you're getting in all the nutrients that are necessary. Then within the physical domain, if, like we said, there's hypothyroidism or any illness that is leading, get it attended to. Specialist diagnosis and treatment, resort to specialists for that. Then within the psychological domain, establishing healthy relationship patterns with your siblings, with your parents, with your children, with your
I'm sorry
spouses.
I have to cut you over here, but this was, why are you laughing? Anyway, so, you know, I have actually seen this a lot, and it is sort of, well, a fact as well now. People who are usually, you know, in the severe phase of depression, when they do finally overcome that, they are either like a lot closer to their creator or even a lot closer to the creation themselves. You know, it's either of the two though. But what happens? I mean, why are they more compassionate and empathetic after that?
See, because you've been through such an emotionally sensitive period.
Right.
You are more capable of feeling other people's pain as well.
Yeah.
And if the depression was sourced, as we spoke about yesterday, in existential themes, in spiritual themes, that those questions that required answering, those doubts that required dispelling, once those doubts are dispelled, when you have a better understanding of the world, a better understanding of yourself, of your place in the world, then being socially responsible, being compassionate, going towards other people and doing stuff, doing meaningful things for them, that's therapeutic.
All right.
That helps with depression indirectly as a byproduct. So that would be the third domain.
Okay.
Like biologically we spoke about, psychologically we spoke about, this would be in the spiritual domain, that your religiosity and your socially responsible behavior will, as a side effect, help you cope with not just depression, anxiety, and other personality challenges that you may have.
Amazing that is. Now I've got two questions, and I'm sorry, but you'll have to bear with me on this one as well. Number one, since you just mentioned about that there are a lot of different next of kins within our own heads as well, that due to their chemical reactions, you can actually help combat depression. All right, so first of all, what activities should we be involved in to get that out? Number one. And number two, now since we've mentioned at the start of the show as well that we are actually going to get the treatment out in the light of Quran, which you said that the specialist needs to do their job. But I'm going to connect it, for example, hopelessness. Now there are a lot of messages within Quran about being hopeless, and then there are a lot of messages in Quran of not taking your life, or probably there's this. I think the narration actually states that on the day of judgment, a person who's actually stabbed himself with a tool of iron, he'll actually keep on stabbing himself with that particular tool, or if he jumped from the mountain, he'll still be jumping from the mountain into the hellfire as well. Now, so we get a clear message within our own religious book that these things are not to be done. So how do we connect these things, not to be hopeless, and then how do we get those chemical reactions out?
Right. So we would find, for example, if we talk about the biological domain, there was a particular salt or some particular particular formulation that Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha would take to people who were grief stricken. So it's like a biological compound now that is being given for grief.
Wow.
So you find evidence for that. And of course, now we would have more refined, more evolved in the form of antidepressants themselves. In the psychological domain, for example, there is a narration in which the Messenger ﷺ is coming back from an expedition. He is talking to a younger Sahabi about his personal life. And he's asking about his family life. And he's giving him advice as to how to play with his spouse, how to be more playful, how to enjoy themselves more, so, and then finding out that he has financial constraints, making arrangements so that he is financially in a more stable situation. So this is in the psychological domain, him contributing there. Then obviously within the spiritual domain, the narrations that you talked about as deterrents, as imposing that fear factor, no matter how severe the situation is, try to stay back. We find examples where the Messenger ﷺ is told that his grandson has passed away. The Messenger ﷺ, finally when his grandson's having passed away, his body is given to him, the Messenger ﷺ starts crying, right? And some of the Sahaba are shocked. They look at him, they're like, Ya Rasulullah, you're crying. Because for them, their understanding is faith shouldn't lead to, you should be resilient, you should be strong, you should be tough. The Messenger ﷺ said, no, the heart is sad and the eye is weeping, the eye is tearful. Heart is sad, psychological state. Eye is tearful, biological reaction. But the tongue does not say anything against the will of Allah. So the behavior, the action is kept in check. Is kept in check. And the further reinforcement that you get from religion, see, when we're psychologically deprived, we don't have good relationships, and a lot of times it's not possible to have good relationships. Some families are just toxic. Some workplace environments are just, they're made up of bullying groups, etc. So in that, it offers you a personal relationship with Allah Himself. That whenever you're in prayer, you're having a conversation. Where Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen is being responded, Hamidani Abdi. My Abd just praised me. So the more you have a personal connection, understand Allah as a responding, caring deity, not just a disconnected, distant, callous, just wants to be praised. Not that kind of a deity, but a more personal. He cares for me. He feels what I'm going through, He knows. I can talk to Him. So having that relationship, and the more understanding you develop of the Quran, the more you understand that this is not an imaginary relationship. This is as real as any other relationship, like us talking right now. And the more you're able to develop that through a process of prayer, the more you'll be able to contend with and deal with psychological challenges. And so when He tells you, La yukallifullahu nafsan illa wus'aha, that Allah does not burden a soul beyond his capacity, then in the depths of hopelessness, when you feel it's beyond your scope,
that only makes me feel you're even stronger than you believe. Your God knows how strong you are.
There you go. So it's what depression is telling me, and then there's what my God is telling me. So if I were to rely on that, and then that'll help me pull out and be more responsible where I'm supposed to.
Amazing that
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. This was so informative, and especially about this topic, since it happens to be so close to, I feel like, all of our hearts, right?
Exactly.
Ladies and gentlemen, if anyone is depressed or, anxious or going through any such phase around you, isolation is one of the major things that they are going to adopt. Do not let them, and do not just say that they'll get over it. Let's just, let them be in their room, they'll get over it. Don't. Be with them. Don't directly say, are you less depressed now that, I'm with you? Just be with them, ask them how their day was, watch a movie with them, probably go out, eat something with them, ask them about anything. Just, be in contact with them so they're not absolutely isolated as to, do something
I think,
wrong.
Shiza, that's a great message, but then there's a different side to it as well, that a lot of times people who are actually suffering from depression do not really feel like doing anything. And if you push it onto them, there can be severe repercussions as well. So please,
I still feel it's better than leaving them alone.
I think that it's better to let them decide for what they want to do. I think that's what it is. But very quickly, before we wrap up this segment, Dr. Saab, what are we going to talk about tomorrow?
Religion and science.
Religion and science. Wow, that's cool as well, where we actually have, the stone laying, I think, ceremony took place before Ramadan in Sahawa by the Premier Imran Khan himself, where there's a university dedicated to Sufism, science and research. I think that'll be a great topic to talk about. We're going for a short break to go anywhere, because in Ramadan, it's imperative to work out as well. How? In these conditions, there's something which we'll be talking about in the next segment. Let's do it. Good morning.
Stay tuned. Welcome back to World This Morning with Shazad Khan and Shiza Hashmi. And in the first segment, we were speaking about, how depression is very common. And we were looking at the solutions in light of Quran.
Yes.
Well, now, ladies and gentlemen, well, in the last segment again, our religious scholar that we had said that when you are depressed, one of the good ways is to work out because you should channel your energy in a good way.
Exactly. And there's a reason for that too as well. I'm sorry, but I think that was very... it'll be very useful as well.
Right,
and how do you think that it actually works to fight or to combat depression is that, for example, just imagine people. I mean, since I go to the gym myself, so I have an example from that to share. That you're actually bench pressing 80 kgs or 100 kgs, which is more than you usually do. What is the other thing you can think about other than lifting that weight up? It is just, come on, you gotta
That's
go
true.
up. So there's no other thought in your head. Yes.
Absolutely. So it works. So even if you're not depressed, I mean, working out is great, right?
Yeah.
So sorry for stuttering. I'm fasting like you are. Anyway, so can we work out while we're fasting, though? I mean, is it safe to? Is it even healthy to? Wouldn't we get hydrated? These are some of the, very common questions that we need to ask some nutritionists over here. And we have...
And before we do her introduction, ladies and gentlemen, she's actually taken a long time to come back on the show too as well. But
she's been doing some great work otherwise
but,
as well,
but we are glad that she's actually made her way back to our studio as well. And I've tried working out while fasting.
Okay.
And it's just, it just gets difficult towards the time when it's actually going to be Maghrib prayer as well. So I think probably we should ask an expert.
Maybe there's a proper time to do it, right? Maybe
So let's get all of these questions answered, ladies and gentlemen. We have been joined by somebody whom we like to call a lifestyle specialist as well and an expert. She's none other than Miss Lubna Khan. Faraz, hello, assalamu alaikum, welcome back.
Assalamu alaikum, thank you so much for the welcome back.
Long time.
Mubarak. I know, I know it's been so long, but I feel absolutely amazing to be back.
Same here.
And I feel that Ramadan and the fitness questions and the health questions are flowing in from everywhere, and everybody wants to know, especially should they work out, should they not work out, what should they eat in suhoor, what should they eat in iftar, what to not to do.
Right.
So with my appearances with you guys this time around, that's what we're going to be focusing on, because I feel like there's so much information out there about health and fitness, but nobody really focuses on what to do during Ramadan, and which is a really common question, because everybody's like, okay, I'm fasting and not eating for hours and hours, but I'm still gaining weight.
Right.
And how is that? I have no energy, I'm so fatigued. So I'm going to be answering all of those amazing questions.
Perfect. Let's go ahead.
So let's go ahead.
So let's get started.
So today I'm talking about why you should not stop working out, and different times that you can work out, and what are those timings. And the thing is that, like you said, like working out during fasting for people can get very difficult, but everybody is different and unique. So I'm going to talk about 6 different times that you can actually work out, and to be honest, it's a trial and error kind of situation. So you try these times and see what works out for you. I'm just going to give you some pros and cons about it, and then you guys figure out what's good for your body, and you got to listen to yourself.
Let's do it.
Okay, so first I'm going to be talking about why you shouldn't work out. So of course, we've all been there, we're like, oh, I'm getting so lazy, there's that Ramadan slump, I'm so fatigued. And that's all because there's a large group of our community that starts sleeping during the day for such long hours.
Yes. Guilty of that as well.
And even I'm guilty of that, but you know what, like Ramadan is not meant for that. And the thing is that a lot of us, as that same group, start waking up, staying awake during the nighttime, because they're like, oh, I'll just pray and I'll do all my work and all of that during the night, and I'll just sleep during the day. But what happens is that your body is not going to adjust to that. So you need to fast during an adjustment. So it's basically just adjusting your body to a different time shift, to a different way of eating, to a different way of sleeping. But it does not mean that you sacrifice your night sleep and get all fatigued and stuff like that. So adjust yourself. Don't stay awake during the whole night and try to sleep in the morning. That's number one. We talk about loss of strength and cardio capacity. So if you stop working out because you're feeling so weak and stuff, it's said by science that after about 2 weeks, your cardiac capacity goes down completely. And your muscles will start deconditioning yourself, especially if it's someone who has been working out for a long time, or if it's like an athlete who has sports muscles and stuff like that. So that starts deconditioning in the second week. And all my older uncles and aunties, it's actually more important for them to stay active, do some kind of activity, move around. If not work out, at least go for a walk or something during their fast or during the day is super important, or even after, right? Because once you stop being active in Ramadan, that's where you go with the slump. So these are the reasons you should be working out. So let's talk about when to work out.
And very quickly, there's one more thing which I wanted to ask, and that is that, half of the time when you obviously traveling, you cannot go to the gym. So you just mentioned that after 2 weeks' time, your cardio activity is actually going to go lower, all right? So wherever you have developed it, it's going to come down. So how long does it take to bring it back up?
So look, you have to understand that
Because muscle memory, I get that point, but cardio activity, how long does it take to get it back?
Well, see, when it comes to like muscle conditioning and your cardio capacity, as long as you're working on your endurance, it will not go down. So if you stop working out completely, like you have stopped doing any activity and all you want to do is sleep and then wake up and do your iftar and then do your sari and go back to sleep, of course you're looking at like, you know, your endurance going down. But if you don't stop, do some kind of activity, which I'll talk about what you can do if you don't want to go super hardcore. So I'm going to be focusing about doing things like balance and mobility. So maybe you can focus on yoga. If you love weight training, which I do as well, what you can do is maybe lower the weight, right? So if you do super heavy lifting, bring it down, or maybe do less reps. So do something along those lines. You know, if you're if you like to run a lot, maybe shift your timing so it's good for you, which is what I'm going to be talking about.
Right. Before you move on, I have a question for you, Shazad, since
Sure,
you
go
do
ahead.
work out, you know, very regularly. And you said you even try to do it while you're fasting.
Yeah.
First of all, kudos to you because I know how hard it can get. But what is your perfect time to do that? I mean,
Okay, so for me, there's no perfect time. I think what goes fine by me or with me is that, you know, whatever time I get, I just want to work out then as well, because half of the time you're working, and since it's Ramadan, so it's, I think, the busiest month for all those people who are actually working for television, because you have to record similar shows as well. Then there are Eid shows. And then there are a lot of guests coming over to your place. So there's only one thing which I've kept in my head, and that is that if I've eaten, so probably after 1.5 hour, 1 hour, 45 minutes, I'll hit the gym. Not directly after when I've eaten as well, because I just do not feel like that it's right to do it this way as well. Other than that, if I have no time, I'll probably miss out on my meal and then go to the gym and then eat afterwards as well. Do you think that that's the right way?
yeah.
It is, it is. So that's what I'm going to be talking about
Go ahead.
more in detail. So what worked, the routine you're talking about is actually the majority people that's what works for them. So the number one thing you can do is, number one way you can work out or do any activity that you like is you go and do it before suhoor. So go before sari.
all right.
Now the thing with this, the pros about this is that you've already had your meal, like, you know, your meal at night, so you're not going and you're not going to be able to like focus. Then you're not going to be dehydrated because you're able to drink water. You're still able to, you know, go back and have sari, so you're still able to have your pre-workout meal or your smoothie, whatever you like to do. Those are good things. The bad things about this is that you still have to wake up super early. So it becomes a little, you know, impractical with your routine, especially if you have to go to work. You're going to be like, you know, sleep deprived, and then again, you're still killing on your sleep hours, right? Especially during this time, during Ramadan, when our days are so long and nights are so small. So that's one workout you can do, okay? Number two you can do is immediately after iftar. So this is what I, number one, recommend, but I know it gets really tough to do. So what I always recommend is that maybe open your fast with a couple of dates and your water, or, you know, your lemon honey water, whatever you like, and hit the gym. You know, so you hit the gym, you do your workout, do your 1 hour or whatever, come back and you have your meal. So what are good things about this? Again, you're not going to be dehydrated because you just had some energy. What's really good about this is that you're going to be burning a lot of fat because you were fasting all those hours. You had some kind of pre-workout snack, and now you go work out, you come back and you're going to have your full meal. So you're not going to lose your muscle strength. You're going to be actually more focused, more energy and all of that. So that's great. What becomes impractical about this is that you are going to be that annoying person who misses iftar with the family. So it gets really hard for, I guess, like a lot of women there, like, you know, if you are expected to be at the table and stuff like that. So this is one bad thing about it. But if you can make this work for you, I mean, this is the best thing you can do in Ramadan. Maybe, you know, get your family to be active with you. I don't know, do something. But where there's a will, there's a way, right? So if you can do this, do this. The third way that I want to talk about is what mostly people do, and that's after dinner. So basically you have iftar, you have your maghrib prayer, then you have your dinner, and then you quickly go work out. Now this becomes difficult for people who want to go for tarawih maybe. So because then you have, you know, short amount of time, and then a lot of people are already bloated and so full that when you go work out after such a big meal and dinner, you're feeling nauseous. A lot of people end up puking, you know, so it gets really difficult. Here you really have to know when your body is okay to go work out after a certain time of eating. So some people can go work out, say, an hour, but some people can't go work out after eating for, say, 2 hours, right? Your body really it depends on your body, basically.
Exactly. And very quickly, I wanted to add over here as well, I think that it's a kind of an alert or notification for parents who are out there that in Ramadan, majority of the time when we see that, you know, our kids are actually going for Tarawih, I think parents actually need to go and follow them as well, because I used to tell my dad that I'm going for Tarawih, but I went and then read 8 of them and then ran out and then, spent time with my friends as well. So keep an eye on them, okay?
All right.
Quick tips
So
there for
someone
all the
snitched
parents.
anyway.
So yeah,
Lubna,
so again, the good
so
thing
the times
about,
that you mentioned, I'm so sorry I'm cutting you, but this was around Sehri, this was
Yeah.
after Aftari and after dinner.
Yeah.
So you're saying we cannot work out or we should not work out while we're fasting.
I'm getting to that
Okay,
right now. So
okay.
my next one is after Tarawih. Now this is for my late night owls. So people that have done their Tarawih, done their iftar, done their dinner, they're going to be up at late. If you're one of those people that is going to be awake, then hey, fine,
Yeah.
go work
Okay,
out after
okay.
Tarawih. If you don't have to wake up early and you're one of those people, then this is the best time for you. And of course, here you're not risking dehydration, you're not working energy.
Right.
You're going to have it all. You're going to be able to go back home and eat. So this is best for people that are my little night owls.
But then
okay?
at that time, there are a lot of people in the gym.
I
You
know,
you
it gets
do
so
not
tough.
get the
This-
bench. It's not
and
free.
You see this everywhere around the world. I
Yeah.
swear to God, like you go to the gym, even in North America or wherever, you'll see a lot of Muslims like working out after like super late, like at midnight.
Yeah.
But I don't recommend this because you are killing your sleeping hours. I mean, the night is meant for in Ramadan for worship or to sleep. So please use it as that. You do need sleep. That's one of the things I'll be focusing on in the next segment that we
Okay,
talk about as
perfect.
well. So try to get it, like after iftar or something like that. The last time that I do want to mention is before iftar. Now, a lot of people like to go right before iftar so that they can go back and have a meal,
Yeah.
which is fine. But a lot of science has now proven that because Ramadan is 30 days long, right? So if you do this a couple of times that, hey, you're going to go and, do your workout without water or anything like that, that's fine and a fasted schedule. But we don't know the long-term benefits or long-term disadvantages of this. So how much harm are you actually doing to your body because you're unable to drink water
Yeah.
at all,
Right,
right? And you're
right.
doing this consecutively for 30 days. So is this really good for your body? It's a very confusing answer.
Okay,
So
okay.
some people might not feel difference because right after their workout, boom, they're going to eat and drink.
Hmm.
But for a lot of people, it might not work out, and you might feel very dizzy for doing this consecutively, right?
Okay.
Because during you're already fasting for say around 16, 17 hours, and you go work out, and you're not able to have water during that workout.
Yeah.
So it becomes very difficult for people. So yes, but if you're one of those people who's super energetic, motivated, and you feel that you don't have any other time to work out, then this is a great time to go as well.
Now, Lubna, being a mom and then, having all the responsibility of aftars and sehers as well, which one for women do you feel like is the perfect time for you as well?
So for a lot of women, I recommend going after your dinner then.
Okay, okay.
So for someone like me, I don't mind being that annoying person and disappearing during iftar, because what you can do then is meal prep,
Okay.
right? So that you don't have to be there for the entire iftar. Maybe I'll be there for a quick little, hey, hello, hi, how are
Right,
you?
right.
Break my fast and run to the gym, because that's honestly the best time. There's not many people. That's when you can, focus. And to be honest, you don't need to be in the gym every day for 2 hours, right?
Okay,
You can do your
okay.
HIIT workout, go work out like a sprinter basically for 10, 20 minutes and come back. You'll still feel better. At least you're doing something and you are working out.
Yeah.
But
Perfect.
for a lot of men, it becomes impractical, especially if you have more kids
Yeah.
and stuff like that. So yes, go after dinner then. So
Exactly.
that you're done prepping, you're done feeding your family, and then you can go work out with no stress, right?
Okay,
Right.
that's great. Now, since we are actually reaching out to the third Ashra as well, where I think that people are actually going to be out on street shopping for Eid as well. So for women, it becomes very difficult to decide when to go to the gym. So, probably especially in those days when you actually have to shop for Eid, do you have a regime for women out there as well? That, okay, probably you can do it then.
Well, the excuse that I always hear when women go eat shopping is like, we're still walking around.
Yeah.
So that's also, it also counts. But yes, of course it does. I mean, I recommend any kind of activity during Ramadan. The point is to remain active. So do more
Okay.
steps, take the stairs, meal prep, do some, I recommend a lot of doing like a plank challenge, do a lot of body weight workouts.
Okay.
So if you don't have time to go to the gym, I mean, you can do a lot of workouts at home. Maybe take a yoga class, because that's something that you're not exerting your body in.
Right.
So you don't have to weight train. You can focus more on yoga, focus more on meditation and stuff like that. So that's also great for you. For people that love to shop for Eid and everything, hey, find at least 10, 20 minutes to work out. I'm sure you can.
Before or after you're done
But what do
shopping.
we do in 10, 20 minutes? I mean, 10 minutes, obviously, warm-up's gone. But in the next 10 minutes, so what do you think
what
that we
I
should do?
recommend, and what I was talking about is cardio capacity, right? So if you can find a treadmill, or even if you're running on a little your track.
Yeah.
So what I recommend is say that you run super fast for 1 minute. Slow
Okay.
down for 30 seconds, jog. Then go back again for another 2 minutes or one, run like a sprinter, and this is called basically an HIIT
Get the heart
workout.
rate up.
Perfect.
Yes, and this will actually burn a lot of fat. It's so beneficial. It's actually more beneficial than you being at the gym for 2-3 hours doing nothing and just like machines and
Right.
stuff. So HIIT workouts are great. If you don't want to run, you can even do the stationary bike or even the normal bike really, really fast, slow down, bike fast again. So, but just, time schedule it.
Okay,
So you
okay.
do something super fast for a minute, slow down for 30 seconds, then go back at it for 1 minute. minute. If you do this for even 10 minutes a day, I mean, that is an amazing effect on your body.
Thank you so much for telling that. And for all of you out there, I know that we have been waiting for this kind of information throughout Ramzan. Lubna, you've been doing a lot of work. Other than this, thus you're late. But I really wish we had a healthier Ramzan if you told this right in the beginning.
And what are we going to do tomorrow?
So tomorrow, I'm going to be talking about how to have a healthy suhoor, why you should never skip it, what to eat during Sehri, and what are some great options, and people that wake up super late, what you can do, what those group of people can do to make sure that they still get something in.
And we're just on time to do that, ladies and gentlemen. This is the second Ashra, but it's perfectly all right. I think whenever you can get the information out.
Absolutely. So, ladies and gentlemen, towards the end, if there's anything you need to write to us, please write on our Facebook page.
Which is with the name of World This Morning.
On Twitter.
World This Morning without a G.
Daily Motion on YouTube.
World This Morning, World This Morning.
And the repeat is going to be
5 past 11 p.m. tonight. Till the next time, 1, 2, 3. Good morning. Thank you.